Okay, helping people who have passed away. So you've had a close friend or relative or a friend of a friend who's recently died, and you want to help them. You want to give them a good, comfortable transition. This is something that needs to be done straight away at the moment of death, or within 24 hours. You want to do it as quickly as possible. Now, if a person goes through a traumatic death, the mental and astral matrix will often be sticky. This is what produces a ghost. Now, a ghost is basically a spirit that can't let go of its own astral body at the moment of death due to heavy trauma. So if a person had a traumatic death, all the astral energy which is supposed to separate doesn't. It contains them and it sticks them right next to the physical because of the trauma, and their spirit can't leave because of the traumatic energy which is holding them close to the physical. So we want to look at how do we manage that level of death. The next one is someone who has a normal transition. It's not traumatic, but you want to make sure that they're going to a good place. So we have two different scenarios here. Let's look at the second scenario first. So, your grandmother friend passed away. You want them to have a good transition. You look at what are your skills to do that. If you have no skill, you use prayer. You connect to your cultural deity. If you're brought up Christian, you connect to Christ consciousness. You envelop Christ consciousness and prayer around the person that you're thinking about who just passed away, and you pray for their well-being. And you gather a circle of friends to pray for this person, so they get that prayer contains their spirit and gives them a smooth transition. You don't need skills, you just need to have blind faith. Believe. From there, we go deeper. Let's say you've done Qigong 3 transformation. You've learned a bit of Akasha work, you've learned the non-dual light, you've learned to connect to some deities, and when the person passes, you draw an Akashic circle, infinity circle around them. And as soon as you do this, and you have I smell these spirits, and as soon as I put my mind on a smell, I circle the Akasha and I pull them into the circle. From there, I relax the energy through the 3 transformations: vitally, neutralizing; astrally, neutralizing; mentally neutralizing up through the Akasha into light. So I raise them up into the pure spirit. What this helps them do is manage the karma that's stuck to them. They get a much nicer, cleaner transition, and it pulls them to a higher level because you're demagnetizing static around their energy field. You're neutralizing the negativity that can bind them to a lower level, because the center of gravity of their consciousness at the moment of death sets up the frequency or the plane in which their spirit is going to vibrate after death. If you help them and clean that and remove that static, you can assist them getting to a higher level, and that's a huge benefit for them, and it can save them many incarnations of work if you do it well, if you know your stuff. So we have this type of 3 transformations level. Now, let's say the person's had a traumatic death, or someone calls you and their house is haunted and there's a spirit hanging around, and we want to help that spirit move on. First, mentally transfer into the spirit, become sensitive to it. Again, I like to smell it, and the smell, the fragrance, will give me a door in, and then my sensitivity will say how high, how low, what the volume of power is, what the frequency is of this particular entity, and can I release them easily, or do I need some help to release them? I draw an Akashic circle around my connection, and once I've drawn that Akashic circle around the connection, I demagnetize their power with Akasha. So they have a mental matrix connected to their emotional trauma or power, which binds them to the physical, and I neutralize that with Akasha. And I use Akasha to hold their spirit in place. Depending on if it's a demon or archdemon or a very, very heavy-duty negative being, I'll invoke a deity to support that, whether it's a Sun Sphere deity or a Saturnian deity, and one of the gatekeepers of time and the gatekeepers of karma, of judgment, and I'll bring them in for assistance. So with most spirits, you don't need to do this. Your normal ghost, you can just connect in and manage it pretty well. But beings that have a network where they're connected to and controlling a large amount of other beings, those other beings are going to automatically get summoned to protect their leader. So this is where you need to bring assistance in. As soon as you put the Akashic circle, then you demagnetize their matrices that allow their mind to have power. From there, you need to put a prayer, depending on what culture you're in, to bring them to the highest, to raise them up into heaven, to bring them into non-dual light, to pull them into a place in which their spirit can continue their journey in a much more harmonious, balanced way. Let's say if you're in Buddhism, there's a deity called Furomyo, Akala. And Furomyo is a wrathful deity, but he's very close to the physical. So he's very handy for transitioning spirits. Develop a relationship with this deity, and when you put your Akashic circle around the person, you invite, through prayer, Furomyo to help transition this person. And as soon as he connects in, you'll get a sense of feedback from, yes, I've got it, you can go. He'll manage it from there. And when you're having deities like Furomyo help you manage these things, it becomes very quick, and it's a very quick stream. In the early stages, you want to be doing the 3 transformations yourself, feeling the way that the karma's vaporizing, feeling the way the matrices are opening, feeling the way you catch the spirit's mind and you raise the spirit up into light through the 3 transformations. There's a huge growth inside of that, and it's a path of service. So you can really help that being, and in doing so, you're indirectly helping yourself. You're indirectly creating a very, very strong field of merit every time you do it. So for instance, in Thailand, when I was living there, a lot of car accidents, a lot of motorcycle accidents, and there were little shrines on the side of the road, on the corners of bottom of hills where people would crash and die. And as you drive by, you'd see all these spirits calling out to you, and sort of like, oh, okay, yeah, these are spirits that have passed away. And you pull over, you connect to these spirits, you open a big circle of light, and you let them know, hey, anybody wants to move into light, here's your chance. And then you put the blessing and prayer out to all these spirits. They step into the circle, and you can have a deity there if you want to have a cleanness and clarity in your support, and then 3 transformations and raise all these spirits up into light. If that spirit has a high spiritual history, you may bring them up into the Sun Sphere, because you have an ease with which you can assist them and bring them to that space. Now, if let's say you're working with highly demonic Akashic beings, you can bring in an entity like Emnesut, and with Emnesut, he has a type of divine light which dissolves Akashic karma, that dissolves Akashic power, because normally you separate the mind from their body with Akasha. With an Akashic being, you can't do that, because their mind is Akasha. So they're much harder to transition. Now, Emnesut from the Sun Sphere has a type of divine light which neutralizes the matrix between spirit and Akasha and transforms those beings into the Sun Sphere. And he's one of the few deities that is able to do this particular path of service. And to do this type of work for your life's work, it's a life very well spent, because there's very few people who are trained in Akashic awareness and who are trained how to do this type of service and work. So we have a vibrational scale forming here. We have general transitions where someone dies peacefully. We have transitions where people die more traumatically. We have transitions where the beings are problematic. They're demons or archdemons with a hierarchy of servants. And then we have Akashic beings that require the most amount of skill to transform. And start from the bottom and work your skills up the vibrational scale if you have a calling to be in service using these methods. You'll find that as you develop your skill with this, it impacts every other area of your life. All your other skills, there's this merit of unconscious improvement on a whole multitude of different levels. So there's a huge benefit in your sensitivity and in your karmic merit field when you do this type of work. I found it to be extremely beneficial and very satisfying, especially when you're liberating Akashic beings, because the chances of them bumping into a person with a body who's actually able to dissolve their Akashic matrices that are binding them into drifting in infinity, that requires a person who's done a lot of paying attention to Akasha, sitting in Akasha, becoming sensitive to it and working with it and breaking down the structure and nature of Akasha to do that type of work. Okay, so I hope this answers the question on assisting friends who have passed away and generating a vibrational scale of skills that are required. And when you go through the initiation process, you'll get a sensitivity to, I've got to practice these exercises to be in service in that particular way. And your intuitive intellect kicks in and you know what to practice, and then you just jump into it and start to do it. My suggestion to everyone is mind map the entire initiation text, put it on the wall, fill up a whole wall in your bedroom, and look at it every day, and then just tick off each one of those boxes of exercises that need to be done. Look at the causation chain. Organize your exercises into causation to develop individual skills. As you develop individual skills, the skill itself makes other exercises easier. So something like focusing your willpower into the breath, into the stretch to feel vital energy, and then breathe through your whole body, it animates your mental, astral, physical body to do other exercises with ease from that one exercise. So it creates a type of platform for ease of training. So you define all the causation chains, you organize your training exercises into these chains to develop skills. Everything gets easier and faster in your development rather than using a linear progression through the book. Individualize it for your interest so you can get the hours in and practice it well and develop the skill sets. Okay, thank you for your time, everyone, and I will catch you guys in the next video.